Good morning. Let's all take a deep breath and enjoy the quietness right now. It's wonderful. This morning I'm going to be reading from a blog called thebettermom.com, and this has been written by a gal named Jeannie Cunyon, and it's titled, How to Keep from Losing It. Thought it'd be really appropriate. Patience is a grace as difficult as it is necessary, and as hard to come by as it is precious when it is gained. If there is an area in our lives that illuminates this quote by Charles Spurgeon, it's parenting. We want to be, no, we desperately long to be patient and self-controlled, but how often does our anger win? When it comes to framing this very real and often daily struggle we face, there are a few passages in Scripture that resonate. Romans 7:18 through 25 from the Message Bible. I think it's safe to say that the Apostle Paul, when he penned the cry of many hearts when he wrote this of us mothers, beginning in verse 18, I realize that I don't have what it takes. I can will it, but I can't do it. I decide to do good, but I don't really do it. I decide not to be bad, but I do it anyway. My decisions, such as they are, don't result in actions. Something has gone wrong deep within me and gets the better of me every time. From verse 21, it happens so regularly that it's predictable. The moment I decide to do good, sin is there to trip me up. I truly delight in God's commands, but it's pretty obvious that not all of me joins in that delight. Parts of me covertly rebel, and just when I least expect it, they take charge. Verse 24, I've tried everything and nothing helps. I'm at the end of my rope. Is there no one who can do anything for me? Isn't that the real question? Maybe you too can resonate with Paul's angst. Maybe you too have tried everything to be more patient and to get less angry, and nothing helps. Well, we'd all be in big trouble if that was the end of the story. But here's the good news. Listen to the answer which Paul concludes from verse 25. The answer, thank God, is that Jesus Christ can and does. He acted to set the things right in this life of contradictions where I want to serve God with all my heart and mind, and I am pulled by the influence of sin to do something totally different. What hopes does this give for our parenting? Let's start with this. When we feel the anger boiling, we have two choices. We can choose to react, or we can choose to respond. We know the difference. We tend to react to the disobedience of our kids when we forget how prone our own hearts are to wander and disobey our Heavenly Father. But remembering our own sin and our own desperate need for a Savior empowers us to respond with grace. A reaction usually entails us coming down on our kids. A response usually entails us coming alongside of them. And which one we choose to use depends on whose power we are relying. In those hard moments of mothering, when nobody is listening and everybody is arguing, and we can't understand for the life of us why nobody wants to do the right thing, and we just know we're about to completely lose it, what we need is Jesus. We, like Paul, need Jesus in us to live through us. I know this all too well in my own life. I can plan and plot and try and manipulate my emotions all I want. But in the heat of the moment, in the heat of the very real war that is raging for my soul, the only thing that can empower me to be the firm but gentle mom that I long to be for my kids is Jesus. I am so on the verge of losing my cool. When I am on the verge of losing my cool, I take it to Jesus out loud. And this is Jeannie's prayer. My prayer may sound something like this. Lord, I need you. I need you now. This is an emergency. I want to be the patient parent that my kids want me to be and that you desire me to be. I feel my anger about to win, and I desperately need your patience and your power. Jesus, help me. Remember my own need for grace and to be a reflection of your heart, because on my own, I don't have what it takes. Taking it to Jesus keeps me from taking it out on my kids. Rest assured, she says, this by no means is something I've mastered, but I can promise you this. One day at a time, I'm coming to discover just how right Tim Keller was when he said self-control is not willpower, it's gospel power. And finally, she wants to conclude with this. Letting our kids see us take our weakness and our struggles and our daily battle with sin to Jesus is powerful. I'd venture to say it's one of the greatest gifts we can give them. We need to let our kids see us running to and relying on Jesus for us to be what we can't be on our own. Then maybe, just maybe, they will see and they can do the same. And she says, all in grace, Jeannie. And I have to respond with this real quick because I remember one time Marla said, she shared with last year, maybe the year before in leadership, that she was really ready to strangle her girls. She got in the van, got them buckled in, and she just started praying out loud. And Marla, remember, they all settled down. She said it was powerful because in that moment of crying out to God, and they're seeing your frustration, but how the Holy Spirit just came upon her van and just calmed everybody down. That it was, and so when I read this, I just knew that this was a good blog. This blog is wonderful, ladies. Tori Lent is the one. It's called thebettermom.com. And you can sign up, and it comes every day in your email. And there's a great devotion of wonderful writers, all moms just like you at this time in your age. So let us go in prayer.
She's married to a wonderful, kind-hearted fellow who also happens to be a ripping drummer. She has 3 lively kids, a 7-year-old son, a 5-year-old daughter, and a 4-year-old daughter. They keep her on her toes, but she loves them with all her heart. On the days of relaxation, she likes to cook, play around in the garden, and adores the company of friends, along with a warm cup of chai tea. Welcome, Andrea.
We're talking about friends today. Pass it around. No, I just didn't want to be like snotting up here and have nothing on me. Then you would really see what I do when I really have nothing on me. And nobody actually admits that they do that when they have nothing on them. So, all that to say, I'm so excited to be here with you guys this morning. I recognize some faces, but a lot of new faces, so I'm really excited. This is bugging me, so this is going away. There we go. So before we get started, I would like to pray. I know she just prayed, but we just need to pray. So let's pray. Father, I thank you so much for this morning. I thank you for these beautiful faces and these ladies that you are drawing to yourself, Father. I pray and ask, Lord, that your words would be my words and that you would just draw out truths for us this morning. Friendship is such a beautiful gift that you have given us, and help us to recognize how we can cultivate it and how we can treat it the way that you intended it to be treated, Father. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be with them this morning, and I ask that you would bless our time together. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so we are talking about friendship today. This needs to go too. I'm going to put this down here. Is that okay? Okay. I just know I'll hit it the whole time, and you guys will be like, that's super annoying and distracting. So we're talking about friendship today, and I have to be honest with you. I was really nervous about this topic with you because how many of you specifically came to MOPS to try and make new friends and new relationships? Hi. Hands raised high so I can see. That's a majority of the room. Okay, so this is a very important issue for a lot of us, especially in the season of life that you're in. Having friends and having that support system is very important. So I'm very nervous to talk to you about this, but at the same time, I'm really excited because friendship is such a gift from the Lord. So we're going to dig in. Just so you know, at the end of this teaching, we're going to do a question and answer time. So keep that in mind as we're going through the teaching this morning. If you have a question, write it down, and we will get to it at the end. I have my very dearest friend, Kelly, with me. We've been friends for almost 20 years now. So she's going to come up here with me, and we're going to do the question and answer time together. So I'm excited about that. Okay. So friendship can be such a beautiful gift. It is something that people long for, most people long for, because God created us to be relational, because God is relational. In the beginning of Genesis, he looked on everything that had been made, and he saw that it was good, yet there was still something missing. He said, man cannot be alone. This is not right. And so he created the woman. But this same principle spans out into the rest of our lives. We were not made to be alone. We were made to be relational. Even if you think that you don't need people, or maybe you just don't like people. I have a couple friends, they just don't like people in general. Look at Jessica's back there. I saw her look like, yeah, that's totally me. I get it. I totally... I didn't mean to. That was just God. Some people just don't like people. But we all need people. Like, we need people in our lives. It is just so very important. So we're going to talk about 4 different components of friendship. What makes friendship so unique? The characteristics of a true friend. Jesus, the ultimate friend, which I'm most excited about. And then we're actually going to talk about some practical ways to cultivate friendship. So I'm excited. So listening ears on. Okay. William Arnett said, "The countenance of a friend with all that is in it is a wonderful work of God. It is a work as great and as good as the sun in the heavens." And I loved that description because that's exactly how you feel when you leave a friend's house. If you've had a really special, great time together, it's the same feeling you get when you are sitting out in the sun on a cold day and it just like warms you from the outside in. I love that picture because that true friendship can be just like that. It is warming, it's refreshing, it's encouraging, it's strengthening. But at the same time, why is friendship so sticky sometimes? Like it's just sticky. Maybe because we're girls and we're hormonal. I don't know. I feel like guys don't have as many friend issues as we have. Does anybody else feel like my husband, like he never fights with his friends. I'm like, how is that possible? Like, but I don't know. It can be such a tricky situation at the same time. But friendship is really unique because it is the only relationship in our life that is not pushed upon us. Okay, so many relationships that we have in our life, we have to deal with, like in-laws. That's just part of life. Like, you may not have chosen them, even like sister-in-laws, brother-in-laws, cousin-in-laws. You may not have chosen them, but they are in your life because somebody else did, and now you have to deal with them. Or, I know, and I didn't mean that. If any of my family watches this, I am not referring to any of you. It just popped in my head. But then there's other relationships, like coworker relationships. You can't get away from those either. They're just relationships that we have in our lives that you just have to learn to deal with, whether you like them or not. But friendships are different because we choose them and they choose us. Friendships are something that we can walk away from at any time. We're not in a covenant relationship like a marriage. Okay, so that's what makes friendship so special and so different at the same time. Proverbs 17:17 and 18:24 says, "A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. But there is a friend that sticks closer than a brother." In our troubles, this is from Matthew Henry, he says, "In our troubles we expect comfort and relief from our relatives, but sometimes there is a friend that is not related to us, the bonds of whose love and esteem prove stronger than those of nature, And when it comes to the trial, they will do more for us than a brother will. And I just love that picture, because if you have a good family, which many people don't even have that, but if you have a good family, they will be loyal to you because they're family. But a friend is somebody who chooses to be with you, to go through life with you, and is a constant with you. So let's look at some of the characteristics of a true friend. As I stated, Proverbs 17:17, a friend loves at all times. So I'm sure we've had those people in our lives who are friends, right? But as soon as something hard came along, they're gone. And you're like, hello, where did you go? Sometimes they don't mean it like that. They just don't know how to respond to the situation. So if something hard is happening in your life, they just don't know what to do. And so their natural reaction is just to like, I'm gone. Or sometimes they're just not a good friend. And maybe that was the Lord just saying, okay, that needed to end. But either way, a friend who is a true friend will love at all times. Not only do they love you through the difficulties, but they are a constant in your life. You cannot be a good friend without availability. Hands down, you have to be available. Even if they live in a different state, a different city, you're available. You're available for a phone call. You're available for a text. You're available to stop and pray if they text you really quick. Last night I got a text at 8 o'clock that said, please pray for the next hour. And I was in the middle of a really great episode of Fixer Upper. And the kids were asleep, and it was the episode that I've been wanting to see forever. They fixed up a $10,000 home. I'm like, why can't that show up in Temecula? That would be amazing. Anyways, so I was super into this show, and I got this text, please pray. I have a choice to make at that moment. Will my friend know whether I prayed or not? Nope. They will have absolutely no idea. But I will know. And it will affect our friendship in the long run. So what did I do? You turn off Fixer Upper, you sit down, and you pray. You have to be available no matter what. This isn't an all-the-time requirement, obviously. If you have a friend like that, I'm sorry. That's just kind of draining, and I understand. But this isn't all the time. This is something that you are available when they do need it. When something does come up that is hard and they just need support, you are available and you're willing to be with them. I thought of Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. He took Peter, James, and John up with him, and he said to them, my soul is deeply grieved to the point of death. Remain here and keep watch with me. Jesus went up from them and fell on his face and prayed, and was in so much agony that sweat became like drops of blood. And he came back to the disciples only to find them sleeping. And he said to them, you cannot keep watch with me for 1 hour? This happened 3 times where Jesus went up the hill and came back down to find them sleeping. And for the last time he said, are you still sleeping and resting? Behold, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is being betrayed into the hand of sinners. I can't even imagine what they were thinking. This is the moment where they are coming to get Jesus. Like, his time is done. The entire reason that he came to this earth was now culminating in this very moment. And he took those 3 with him, asking, pray with me, I need to be strengthened. And they fell asleep. What were they thinking after he had gone onto the cross and after he was buried in the tomb? They were probably like, our last moments with him were completely wasted because we slept instead of staying up. We slept. I thought of the verse of Ephesians 5:15 through 17. Therefore, be careful how you walk, not as unwise men, but as wise, making the most of your time because the days are evil. So then do not be foolish, but understand what the will of the Lord is. We all get 24 hours in our day. Nobody gets more. We all have the same amount of time to work with, and this is the only time on this side of heaven that you have to invest in people. That's it. When you get to heaven, it is all about him. It is all about praising and worshiping him and basking in his glory. But on this side, it is all about you. It is about people. It's about culminating relationships. So I ask you this question. One of the questions I had on there for you guys is, who do I need to invest more time into? Prayerfully consider, and we'll go over a little bit more of that later on down the line. I read a story of a family. They were being interviewed about their days taking care of their grandmother. And towards the end of her life, she started to literally lose her mind a little bit. And it got to the point that there was nothing else that they could do for her. She was being taken care of at the hospital. There was nothing like, they couldn't even like change her diaper anymore or anything like that. It was completely hands off at that point. But they were still there every day and every night. Long moments. And somebody at the hospital said, "Why are you guys here so much still? Like, she doesn't even know that you're here." And they said, "No, but you're wrong. While we are with her, she will know that we love her." And I loved that quote because that is so true. Being available to your friends, it's not about so much what you do, it's just being with them. While we are with them, they will know that we love them. Be available. Be a constant in their life. Are you prepared to put in hard hours? Friendships will require times when it's inconvenient and you are tired. It will require you to stop what you're doing and to pray for the other person, maybe to fast for the other person. It will require you to maybe go out of your way to make them a dinner when it's super inconvenient and you're already stressed to the max. But you know what, Lord? You gave me the ability to make meals, and I know that this would bless them. Or maybe running a Starbucks by when they're having a hard morning. Just that takes 2 seconds. I love you. I'm thinking about you. Peace be with you. Those are my favorite drop-offs from friends. Those are the best because it doesn't take long. It takes a couple minutes, but it just makes you feel so loved, like they were thinking about me. Being a friend will require sacrifice, but that is how a deep friendship is forged. Henry Durbinville said, "A friend is the first person to come in when the whole world goes out." I loved that. So be present, be available. A friend is careful. Proverbs 25:20 says, "Like one who takes off a garment on a cold day, or like vinegar on soda, is he who sings songs to a troubled heart." So true. So true. Romans 12:15, "Rejoice with those who rejoice and weep with those who weep." These verses are describing being sensitive to the feelings of your friends. If you have a friend that is having an extremely difficult time in her marriage, do not go running around her being like, "I have the best husband in the whole world. We're going on 10 years, and he like made me this massive lobster dinner. Like, he just adores me, and I adore him. We are the best." Like, why would you do that? That's so insensitive. You know? Being a friend is being careful. You're careful about what they're going through. They're careful about what you're going through. You learn to rejoice with one another. You learn to weep with one another. A friend is honest with the spirit of carefulness in mind. A friend is honest. Proverbs 27:5, 6, 9, and 17. Do you see how many Proverbs verses I'm throwing out? Wisdom in that book. "Better is open rebuke than love that is concealed. Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but deceitful are the kisses of an enemy. Oil and perfume make the heart glad, so a man's counsel is sweet to his friend. Iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another." So this is a picture of intimacy, of transparency, of wisdom, and of balance. It takes being intimate friends to understand a person's character, their personality, to know how to approach a transparent moment, and wisdom in choosing the right words to use. And sometimes this can only be known through prayer. You could know this person for a very long time, but you will still get in moments where you're like, "I have no idea what to say. Lord, give me words. Give me light in this situation. Maybe I shouldn't say anything at all. Maybe I should just be there. Pray. Always pray first. I lost my place. Here we go. Sometimes if you truly love them, you will have to say hard words. Proverbs 28:23 says, "He who rebukes a man will afterward find more favor than he who flatters with the tongue." Again, there is a balance to this and much seeking that needs to happen. The Bible says that love covers a multitude of sins, right? There was one time where I felt hurt and offended by a friend, and I asked the Lord, and he said, "I want you to wait on that. I don't want you to go to that person." And I'm like, but I legitimately have a good reason to go to this person. Like, you're wrong, Lord. So he's like, "No, I want you to wait." So what ended up happening, I waited, and come to find out, something very, not tragic, but something else was going on in her life that I knew nothing about. And really, her reaction towards me had absolutely nothing to do with me. It had everything else to do with something else that was going on in her life. If I had not have listened to the Lord, I would have made matters for her much worse. If she's already going through something and then I come up and I'm like, "You were so rude. What is your deal? Like, what is wrong? What's wrong with our relationship?" She would have been blindsided. She would have been like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." And that would have been one more thing on her plate that she would have had to now deal with. There's wisdom. Sometimes you need to go to them, sometimes you don't. If it is blatant sin, absolutely. It is your job as a friend to go to them in love and say, "You know what? I don't really think that you should be texting this person. I don't think it's wise." Or, "I don't think that," whatever it may be. Always go before the Lord in prayer and then move forward. But it is your job as a true friend to be able to say the hard things. And a lot of times I think that we don't do it because we really care more about ourselves than we do our friend. "Well, I'm afraid of what she's going to think about me." Okay, well, get over that, because you're not acting in love. You're really going to end up doing more harm in the long run than you will if you were to just say, "This is going to be hard, but I'm going to do it." Because that's what the Bible tells us. You will find more favor afterward than if you were to have not said anything at all. Okay, so can your friends be honest with you, and are you loving when being honest? Also another one of your questions. Like how I'm plugging them in, like, are you catching that? No? Okay. All right, so Jesus, the ultimate friend. Now, having gone through some of the characteristics of a true friend, maybe you're thinking, "Yes, that is exactly the kind of friend that I've been wanting. You nailed it." Or maybe you're like, "I will never, ever be that kind of friend. Like, that is just, the standard is way too high and I can't do it." You're all right. Everybody's right. Yes and yes on both compartments. The Lord has been showing me over the last probably 4 or 5 years, I would say. He has been dealing with me on this subject of friendship for a really long time. Kelly and I have been friends for a very long time. And right when something very painful happened in my life, she moved away. It was just to Escondido, but seriously, that could have been like, that's far. When you're used to being in the same town and being available, Escondido is far. So she moved away, and another friend that we were really close to, they also moved away, and they moved to Orange County. And so there was just this like transition of like, what is happening, Lord? Like, I'm hurting, and now everything is changing on top of that. I don't like this at all. So it took me a couple of years, and I felt like I was just doing this, like, "Oh, I want a friend, I want a friend. I want a friend, I want a friend here with me. I want a friend that was the same as Kelly. Like, I want somebody here that will be that type of friend for me." And it was very depressing because I was looking for somebody to fulfill me in ways that only the Lord could. And he finally showed me that. Or maybe he was trying to show me that for a really long time, but I finally caught on. But Jesus really, he is the ultimate friend. As good of a friend that you may have in someone, eventually they will let you down and you will let them down. And really, it's unfair to expect things from them that only God created for you to have from him. It's just unfair. Philippians 4:19 said, "And my God will supply all of your needs according to his riches and glory in Christ Jesus." He will supply all of your needs. That means emotional, mental, spiritual, physical, every single need. He will supply. He will be the supplier. I loved this quote. "For to love it all is to be vulnerable, and friends may not always handle that vulnerability correctly." Isn't that so true? To love somebody, you have to be vulnerable. If you start sharing something with somebody, you are entrusting them to keep safe what you have told them. And has that always worked out in all of your lives? No, it has not worked out in mine. But Jesus, you can trust all the time. They will fall short. You will disappoint. Some may forsake you when you needed them the most. Can a friend know the deepest part of your heart? Can they literally search your mind and know the deepest parts of your thoughts? Thoughts that you didn't even know that you had? Can they search those? Can they give you unconditional love fervently and without any hindrance, expecting nothing? Can your friends hold any of your tears? Can they bottle your tears for you? Do you know who can? Jesus. That is it. They cannot do these things for you, but he absolutely can. Do you realize that Christ, when he died on the cross, he literally lost his friendship with the Lord so that you could have friendship with him? He turned his back. Jesus is on the cross, arms stretched out, dying, and God had to turn his back on his son because he couldn't look upon him because of all the sin that was laid upon him. He turned his back. That's why Jesus could say, "Why have you forsaken me?" Because he had to turn his back so that you could have a relationship with him, so that he could meet your every single need that you would ever have, so that it could be met in him. You could go to his throne room at any time and say, "God, please help me. This friend is crazy. I do not know what to do with her." You can go to him and be that honest, and he will give you wisdom. His word promises that. We have the ultimate friend in Christ. John 15:13 says, "Greater love has no one than this, than to lay down one's life for his friends." And he has very much proven that to us. So we can trust him with every single part of our lives. And what happens is when you set him as your first friendship priority, before making friends or having friends or cultivating friendships, when you honor your relationship with him first, you are filled. So you're no longer grasping for "Please be my friend." Jessica, who doesn't like people. Maybe she'll like me. Yeah, I accept. But you're filled. You're filled to now not need that from everybody. So it allows you in turn to love on people and to be that person for other people. You are satisfied in him, which makes you way more available to go out and be that love to them. It's an amazing thing. Jonathan, David's friend, is an awesome example of true friendship. David was hiding in the wilderness because Saul, who is Jonathan's dad, was coming after to kill him. So Jonathan went out ahead of his dad into the wilderness. And the significance of this scene lies in Jonathan's intent. He helped David find strength in God, or as the text puts it, he strengthened his grip in God. I love that language. He strengthened his grip. As a friend, he went out there and he strengthened his grip in God, so in his own relationship. And that is the essence of Christian friendship. Beyond common interests, beyond affection, beyond the laughter is the ultimate aim of sowing in others the words of eternal life, of leaving them with reminders of God's wisdom, refreshing their spirits with words of his love, and strengthening their grip on God. So a true friend is a gift from God and one who always points back to him. Always. I hit a roadblock when I was studying for this last week. A major, major roadblock. And the Lord's like, I want you to sit down and make a list of what friendship is to you. So I started writing down little things that I thought meant friendship to me. And so I'm going to read a couple. You have written in an old book, one that you treasured so. At first it was a borrowing, but seeing how my heart had grown so fond of the object, you gave it back to me, inscripted with treasures of hope. This book is still cherished as a prized possession to this day. So many sweet letters, selfless, encouraging letters, so many prayers. The safety of a God-filled friend home, those are the best. You can walk in with your crazy life and your crazy kids, maybe by yourself, all worn and tired, and the minute you sit, there is new breath. There's bits of encouragement floating around, inspiration on living a God-centered life, inspiration on parenting, inspiration on decorating, which is always the best. Truth of what sin is blinding my eyes, sin that I've allowed for so long that I no longer see it for what it really is. There's rest, there's freedom to be who I am. And most importantly, the best of friends' house spill forth the love of him, which really is the healing power. Have you ever left a friend's house who is just overflowing with him? Like, they are literally a picture of Jesus, and you've left their house and you're like, man, I feel so good. I feel encouraged. I feel strengthened. I feel like I could actually be a good mom again. You just feel strengthened. And after making this list, it dawned on me, like, those are the most important factors that I cherish in a good friend, is that they always point me back to him. Always. It's like a one-way sign all the time. And it's so important that we have that relationship with him first so that we're able to be that person for the rest of our friends. Love him first and foremost, and then you will be able to begin cultivating friendships that will show his love to others. Okay, so let's get into the practical, how to cultivate friendships. This is my favorite section. So get ready to write down if you have questions later, because after this we're going into question and answer time. Okay, so there has to be a common interest as a starting place. If somebody bores you, I'm going to say not so much. I just wouldn't go there. You have to have a common interest. This quote from C.S. Lewis in The Four Loves, the book that he wrote, The Four Loves. The very condition of having friends is that we should want something else besides friends. Where the truthful answer to the question, do you see the same truth? If they say, I see nothing and I don't care about that truth, I only want a friend, no friendship can arise. There would be nothing for the friendship to be about, and friendship must be about something, even if it were only an enthusiasm for dominoes or white mice. I don't like mice, so if you do, you have to find a very special friend, I think. Those who have nothing can share nothing, and those who are going nowhere can have no fellow travelers. You have to have something in common. Like, that's just a common starting place. All of you right here, you're all moms of preschoolers, right? MOPS, moms of preschoolers. There's a common starting place, and I'm sure a lot of your conversations have started out, have you been through this? Or has your son ever done this? Or am I right? Like, it's just a very common, did that happen this morning? Oh, it should. That can happen later. But you have to have a common starting place. I was asking some of my friends last week how we became friends, because I forgot. Because sometimes you just forget because it just seems like it's always been. So, but my friend said this, and I told her, I'm quoting you verbatim because it's so good. Part of it is natural progression. Part of it is putting yourself out there and putting forth effort. Good friendships require a purposeful cultivation. So the natural progression part, so you put yourself out there. I love white mice. So do I. Okay. So the next part is you have to naturally progress from that point. You can't build an entire friendship on white mice. So it takes cultivation on your point, like on your part to say, hey, you want to go to the park together? Yeah, that'd be great. And at the park, maybe you start talking about something else that you figure out that you have in common. So it's taking steps and getting to know that person more. I think a great place for this, and many of my friendships have started this way, is in a group setting like you're doing now. I, like Jessica, I've grown more in my friendliness over the years. Thanks to Kelly, 'cause she's super friendly. And I've never been so much that type of person. So I've grown in that area. So for me, group settings were always the best because I didn't feel like it was just like, hello. Like, what if we really have nothing in common? So group settings, like invite a few couples over and do a dinner, or invite a couple girls over for coffee, because then you have more people to kind of play off of and to talk off of, and you can find friends that way, and then just say, I don't know, it just naturally happens. So group settings. Like-mindedness is not the same as having similar personalities. It's actually sometimes better if you have somebody that's completely different from you. It just works that way, Marla and me, completely different. Kelly, so I wanted to give this example. So we met our freshman year, and she was a cheerleader. I was nothing like a cheerleader. And I actually ended up being a cheerleader, so the influence of friends. So I remember, we started hanging out at school, and she said, do you want to come over? And I said, yes, I would love to. So came over to her house and walked upstairs into her bedroom. The brightest yellow walls you have ever seen ever. Like, it was just like the sun was just there. Just yellow was everywhere. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my God. I am not like this at all. Kelly's always been just very joyful and just had like that very fun, outgoing personality. And I'm like the very sarcastic, that's not me. But it works because we were like-minded. We didn't have to have the same personalities, but because we were like-minded, we built off the like-mindedness, and actually our different personalities have helped grow each of us in different ways, and it's challenged us in our relationship. So you don't have to necessarily go after friends that think and are the same as you. It's actually more fun sometimes if you do the other, except if they want you to do stupid things, which, yeah. Okay. So next, go deep rather than wide. This is really important, and I didn't know how to address this because I want to be very careful, but Proverbs 18:24, I read you the last part of that verse, but the whole verse says, a man of too many friends comes to ruin, but there is a friend that sticks closer to a brother. So a man of too many friends comes to ruin. You're like, that's kind of harsh, but it's not. Because you cannot emotionally, physically, spiritually handle being this kind of friend to all these people. Like, it's just not possible. You would be doing them a disservice, and you would be doing yourself a disservice. I thought of, actually, my husband. He gave me this example last night because I'm like, I need an example. He's like, what about Jesus and the disciples? So Jesus had the 12, and then he had the 3. So he was with the 12 all the time. He was pouring into the 12 all the time. He was investing in them. And then he had Peter, James, and John. And those were the people that he let in to see the deepest parts of himself. In Matthew 17:1-2, it says, 6 days later, Jesus took with him Peter and James and John, his brother, and led them up on a high mountain by themselves. And he was transfigured before them, and his face shone like the sun, and his garments became as white as light. They saw things happening in Jesus. They saw him grieving. They saw the blood drip from his face at the Garden of Gethsemane. They saw his transfiguration. Like, those are very intimate moments. Were they with all 12? No. They were with the 3. And this is very important because you don't see. I love Jesus because he is the perfect picture of this because he loved everybody. He was there for everybody. He loved Lazarus. He loved Martha and Mary. He gave himself to people on a regular basis. He loved on people on a regular basis. But people that he let see the deepest and most intimate parts of himself, he kept to 3. And it's just wise. You don't want everybody knowing everything about your life. It is just not wisdom. So go deep rather than going wide. And that doesn't mean that you can't have lots of friends by any means. It just means be careful with the ones that you choose to have very close to you. There's friends for seasons, and there's friends for the long haul. So there's friends that you will be friends with forever, and there's friends that it's just for a season. Charlene left. Where'd she go? I was thinking of Charlene. Her purse is still here, so maybe she's in the room. Oh, bummer. So I was thinking of Charlene. She's moving at the end of the month. She's in our Mommy and Me group in Bible study. And I've seen the sweetest friendship occur with her and another girl, Hannah, in our group. And it has been they're totally opposite. I would have never guessed that one. But the friendship that they have together, it has just been so sweet, but now she's moving. And it's like, oh man, but that's okay because they were able to pour into each other for that short amount of time. And sometimes that's all that's needed. We will have friends for season. I remember Sarah Rupert, she was the first one to do the go-around with MOPS here. And I remember her telling me that one time. And I'm like, that's just so sad. I hate saying goodbye to friends, though. And the next year, she ended up moving. And I'm like, oh, what you said was so true. I hate that. We have friends for seasons, and that's okay because God knows. And so you keep an open hand with your friends. Don't keep them like this. You keep an open hand. And the ones that he has for you in the long haul, you'll keep in touch, and it'll be very natural. But sometimes it's just best to just say, this was such a blessing, and I will be praying for you. And then that's that. And then it's done. And that's okay. It's care in the little things that make a huge contribution in the relationship. And I'm going to use the Starbucks analogy. It's just care. It's just doing little things to let somebody know that you're thinking about them or you're praying for them. It could be a card. It could be a drop-off of Starbucks. It could just be a text message saying, you've been on my mind all day. Is there anything I can pray for you for? Or I'm just going to send you a funny meme because I feel like you need to pick me up. My poor husband, he gets on my phone and there's like all these memes all the time. He's like, do you do this all day? I'm like, yes, it's so funny. We need funny memes in our life. When your season allows it, make time in your schedule for one-on-one time without kids. This is really important. And I know you guys, many of you are in seasons where you have a child on you all the time. So obviously, not your season to do that. But when you have the time, you need to make time to have one-on-one time with your friends without kids screaming in the background. Like, you just cannot have a good, deep conversation with somebody coming up to you 20 times saying, I'm hungry, can I have a snack, can I have a snack? You just can't. It'll deepen your friendship. It will refresh you. It gives them your full attention. So it's just really important. Not all the time. I mean, this can happen like once every few months. But make sure that you do make it a priority, the people that you really want to invest in, to give them your full-on attention at different times in the year. So, practical. Last one. There is nothing more intimate than your home. Sally Clarkson says, a home is a place to belong, to feel loved and valued, to serve and be served, to give and receive, and to celebrate all that is good. Make your home a safe place for your friends. It does not have to be perfect by any means. Some people actually feel more comfortable if they walk into a house where there's laundry sitting there. Some people are like, nope, I won't do it. Okay, maybe you shouldn't be friends. I don't know. But the whole point is that you're trying to welcome them. You know, make sure that they feel safe in your home. If you're out of, you know, I'm kind of out of the baby stage now, so I don't have baby toys anymore. But if I have somebody coming over with babies, like if I'm hosting maybe like a mom or a Bible study group at my house, I'll call Marla and say, hey, can I borrow some toys? Just so that they have something to play with. It's just little things like that. Make your home a place where people can be themselves, where they can be insecure and not feel judged, where they can feel comfortable, because that allows you to love on each other the best that you know how. So that is all I have for you this morning. We're going to do some question and answer. Do we have time? I didn't even look at what time I started.
I think so. We're good.
Are we good? Okay, so maybe like 10 minutes. Kelly, you want to jump up here real quick? We have this mic. And we kind of matched. I actually used to
I was
be
gonna bring
like
that up.
dark hair, so we were like Oreos.
But yeah, if you're real friends, then we wear the same pants.
Yeah.
And you like blonde hair.
I'll go dark again one day.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions?
Oh, come on, they exist.
I have failed you. You seriously have no questions?
You explained it so well.
She did.
Marla.
I have a question.
Okay.
What if you have a needy friend? What are your best advice for friends that you think are like really kind of needy or really kind of like high maintenance friendships?
It's a good question.
That's a great question. She's great with needy
Yeah,
friends.
I'd love to take that one. I am. She's not a needy friend, but yeah, it's interesting. I just had a conversation with a sweet woman in my life this week, and it was so interesting because God grows us through these situations, right? A little out of your comfort zone. It's kind of nice. I think something that's really important is speaking the truth in love. Love is key, because without the love, the foundation of love, the truth is just going to sting that person, and it's not going to be well received. So I think if there's an atmosphere of trust in the relationship, I would highly encourage you to. I'm a big fan of doing this in person, because you can grab their hands. If you're not a toucher, that's okay. You don't have to touch them. I'm a toucher. I'd be like,
I'm not.
oh, wait, no, her family isn't. I make her dad uncomfortable. I'm like, Mr. Brimhall, I love you. But in person is a really big deal, because this kind of conversation over text message, email, it's harsh. So I would encourage you guys to speak the truth in love and really go before the Lord, like Andrea said, go before the Lord first, and then go to that person and just let them see the love and care in your eyes, and just reaffirm your care for them and point them to Christ. And one of the things I had to do with this sweet woman was just encourage her. She was very humble about it. She asked me very specific questions, like, do you think I'm this and do you think I'm that? And I said,
what exactly did you say to this person? How did you give an example of?
So I said, look, I'm only going to identify you for who you really are, and that is a loved daughter of the King of Kings. However, what you put off is neediness. And I believe that you are not a needy woman, that you're a daughter of the King. Take your needs to him first so that you can be blessed and enjoy the relationships that you have. Find your satisfaction in the Lord so that you can enjoy friendships. And she was precious. You know what she asked? She said, well, what does that look like? Because she was wanting, and I had to tell her, I think what you want from me is something that I cannot give you right now in this season of life, and I don't feel called to give it to you. So God either has somebody else for you, or the Lord is calling you to himself to say, come to me, get those needs met with me. So communicating that honestly is important. It's hard. Ooh, it's hard, girls. You're talking to a girl who does not like to ruffle feathers, but there's such freedom in that. And I mean, the word says, like, therefore speaking the truth in love, and he talks about so that we can grow up into him who is the head. So, right, there's an incredible growth in ourselves and in the people that you speak truth with. growing into Christ-likeness that occurs that I feel like is kind of stunted if speaking the truth in love doesn't take place. So yeah.
Very good. Yes, ma'am.
It kind of goes along with Marla's, but so as a young mom, I have several friends who are not in that season of life at all.
Good question.
Single, doing their own thing. And
Right.
I'm like, I am not there. I love you, but I'm not going to go out with you. I have a
Right.
baby. I'm pregnant. So when you have this transition, when you're moving into this season and they're still so not there, I know, I don't even know really how to address it because maybe something doesn't necessarily happen, but you just know that you can't do those things and be there anymore in that way. And you don't have the desire to.
Yeah, definitely. I think like-mindedness is where I'd go with this. If there is that like-mindedness in your friendship, if you share Christ, if you share softball, if you share Fixer-Upper and a little love of Chip and Joanna Gaines, you know what I mean? You can kind of lean on some of those things where you're like-minded. We have been friends since we were 14, and we have been unable so far to have our own children, and that is something that we've very much desired, and we're actually in the adoption process, which is super fun. But we have definitely walked through that as friends. I mean, watching Andrea's precious nuggets grow from here to here while I'm still not in that season, it's not easy, but there's an incredible grace for that. And I think I would definitely lean on the friendship that you guys have and the like-mindedness.
Yeah.
And you have a mic.
Yeah, I do. I was going to say, I think it depends on where your friendship is at, because there are friends, like I said, that will only be for a season, and naturally there will just be this separation that happens, and the things that you used to have in common, you really don't have in common anymore, and that's okay.
Totally.
It just naturally happens. But if it's a friend, if it's one of those deep friends that you want to invest in, I would just say honesty. Like
Total honesty.
having those we actually just recently had a conversation
Yeah.
like this where you just have to be honest with them and say, I love you. I still very much want you to be a part of my life. I want to be a part of your life, but this is what my life looks like right now. So how can we make this work?
Yeah.
And it might be for a season, or maybe you just make some one-on-one time.
Totally.
If you can without the kids, and that's something that
Or
has
after
helped.
they go to bed,
Yeah.
or, those are always fun ways to do it too.
Yes.
I mean, Andrea lives, it's only 30 minutes. But come on, when you're used to living in the same city, it's a big difference.
Yeah.
But even friends who have little ones that are close, my husband and I, we just go over after bedtime, so invite them, hey, we're going to put the kids down, come over at 8, I'm going to make cookies, and we're going to hang out or whatever. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
You know, that was the same. I'll just really quick.
Yes.
So this friend, I think the thing that makes it hard is that we were in the same season of life in terms of we actually were young, married together.
Right.
And now we're both young. I'm married with kids, and she's not married
Okay.
anymore. So it went from like
Yes.
together to
Oh,
like
yeah. That's
totally different. And
Right.
so it just makes it more challenging.
That's why I think it would be probably most beneficial for her
yeah,
if she just got some alone time with you.
totally.
And not all the time, but just more one-on-one.
Yeah.
Another friend was in the same situation. She just got married, but she had been unmarried all these years that I had been married. And so really, I didn't invite her over a lot of the times with my husband because it just made her feel bad that she
Yeah.
wasn't. So if he was out one night, I would say, hey, Kylo's going to be gone. Do you want to come over and have dinner? Or I can meet you at blah, blah, blah at this time, 8 o'clock for coffee after the kids go down or something like that. Yeah.
And I just think that a good friend, it sounds like you really care about her. So it's worth investing in if your
Yes.
heart is in it and you have that connection.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Any other? Yes, ma'am.
So I have a friend that I've been friends with since freshman year in high school, and she's thinking of moving to New Jersey.
Oh,
She's
friend.
been there. She's gone through a bunch of marriage problems with her first husband, and she recently just got married in October. I couldn't be there just because I have a baby under one plus 2 others, and husband kind of last minute, short notice. And I'm like, man, I've been a horrible friend after listening to everything. But other than going to her and being like, I'm sorry I haven't given you the time and like my energy that I should have been giving. I mean, the time difference
Right.
is what kills me.
Right.
Because I get up at 5:30 and that
Right.
Well, she's at work by that time.
Right.
And obviously I'm like 9:30, ready to talk, and she's in bed. So
Yeah, totally.
do you have any advice on how I can like be there for her, like constant, like I want her to be able to come to me. I want her to be able to talk about, especially a new marriage, a second marriage, and still kind of insecure about the issues that happened with her husband, or her previous husband.
Right.
I want to make sure she can reach out to me, but like she's across the
I have a really funny random practical tip.
Yeah.
Oh, did you have something to speak to that?
I have a girlfriend, she moved to Tennessee, so we have the time difference. We box.
I was just gonna say Voxer. Yeah, exactly.
So you basically like leave a voice message and she
Yeah.
listens to it during her time and
Yep.
responds. It is awesome.
My
Because,
friend
yeah, we
in
have our
Kentucky, we do the
conversation.
same thing because she's 3 hours and she's got 4 kids and she's working, and so we Vox, same thing. So you can reply when you have time and she can give you.
and she's not on Facebook. I'm like,
So
like send me pictures of the kids, and I'm like,
We gotta get this girl Voxer.
I know.
She needs Voxer.
So the app is Voxer, and it kind of works just like a
walkie-talkie.
walkie-talkie. So you can just like talk on like full like minutes
Oh, yeah.
worth of messages, and then they hear it when they do, and then they can respond to you, and then you can respond.
Or you can
back,
text,
whatever
you can send
do.
pictures.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's awesome.
like we're accountability partners, and like we're gonna give 10% of our day to the Lord every day, and that was like our New Year's thing together. And I'm like, oh, I texted you last night.
Yeah.
When we pick up the phone, it's great if the kids aren't screaming.
But picking up the phone in your season is tricky, especially with the time
Like
difference.
I'm always like, oh, just ignore the crying kid, and she's like, oh.
Yeah, not so easy. Just
Like she can't tune it out quite the way. I'm like, oh no, they're fine. She's like, sure you don't need to go? Yeah, they're just fighting. It's okay.
Yeah. Voxer should have worked well for you.
yeah, it
That'd
will.
be good.
It will.
Anything? I think we have time for one. Nope, we don't have time for any more.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, guys.